welcome to Shelsley Walsh for the latest round of the MCL Motorhome British Hillclimb Championship 2009. As well as the usual Hillclimb specials, single-seaters and sports cars, we've got a fantastic selection of big V8 muscle cars. An interloper in the V8 muscle cars is this brilliant Aston Martin Vantage. It's got the V12 engine in it that's been shoehorned from the DB9. It ran over in Germany at the Nürburgring 24 hours, scoring a class win. Fantastic car, really should be quite a challenge for it going up Shelsley compared to the Nürburgring. Both quite tight and twisty circuits. Of course, the Nürburgring, you've got 14 miles to get used to it. Nowhere near that on the 1,000 metres here at Shelsley. Let's go straight over to commentator Jerry Sturman, see some of the action that's happening on the track.
Thanks, James. Well, the car on the line now is about as far removed from a muscle car as it's possible to get. A smart car might seem an unusual choice for a hill climber, but Jim Gaze's version is a bit different. That start line technique is the clue. In the back is a 2-litre Toyota twin cam engine. Let's ride with Jim up the oldest motorsport venue in the world. Out of Kennel Bend and we're into the blind left-hander at Crossing. Absolutely flat out in the smart car, of course, as we charge up through the King. The big single-seaters take this at well over 130 miles an hour. Now we're into the braking area for the S's, but there's hardly any need to brake in the Smart before we lurch into the left-hander. Keep the car on the left for the right-hand kennel exit, and now the Toyota unit really has to work hard as we pound up the long, steep finishing straight. The fastest cars here are approaching 150 miles an hour. Once over the line, we roll into the top holding paddock.
Jim, it's a little bit different than a standard Smartie though.
Well, Smarts have to be something different, something to make you smile, and this one puts a very large grin on your face.
I'm sure it does. You made a lot of modifications to it. Talk us through what you've done to the car.
Well, the car's been modified from the Mercedes engine that it left the factory with to a Toyota 2-litre twin cam, which has made it a little bit more active.
Absolutely, it must be pretty lively with that sort of grunt. How's it upset the balance of the car? Has it affected it at all? Or?
Balance and smart should never be put in the same sentence. But no, it has made it more active.
Right, for sure. You're pushing on well with the car though, and in quite a competitive class with a lot of varied equipment. How are you getting on with it?
Well, it's never going to win the class, but I shall get more smiles per mile.
And typical of hill climbing really, isn't it? It's sort of a bit of innovation, something very different.
That's what hill climbing is all about, that you can bring anything off the highway and come and be competitive and have a really good weekend sport.
Absolutely. Well, certainly pleased to see it here, Jim. Best of luck for the rest of the weekend, and we'll be watching with interest there.
Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot. Back to you, Jerry.
Now we're riding with Richard Meaden in the 6-litre Aston Martin V12 Vantage. At just 12 feet wide, Shelsley Walsh is a complete contrast to the car's more familiar habitat at the Nürburgring. This is a big car to thread up Shelsley's narrow track, but Richard's doing a fine job to stay on the tail of the regular class leaders. The Aston is an out-and-out race car, not at all set up like a specialist hill climb machine. Meaden wrestles the big car through the S's and blasts out onto the finishing straight to finish just 4 seconds away from the winning Audi Quattro and a creditable 5th in a 14-car class.
Richard, how did your involvement with this car come about?
Well, I was lucky enough to drive the car in the Nürburgring 24 hours back in May, and Aston Martin wanted to bring the car along for a bit of fun, show it off in a different environment, and obviously there's a Stratstone connection with Shelsley and Aston Martin, so rather than have it static display up there, we thought we'd give it a run up the hill.
Oh, far better way to use it, that's for sure. So it was a successful time for you at the Nürburgring though?
It was brilliant, yeah. They launched the road car in the same week, so it's the first time the car had run as a racer. And we won our class, so the SP8 class, and we were 21st overall out of 180 cars. So yeah, very good weekend.
Not a bad debut for the car, that's for sure. Did you have any problems during the weekend, or was it plain?
I think we had a cross-threaded wheel nut towards the end of the race, and it just ran like a train apart from that. So
well, that's pretty reasonable for first time out, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it's perfect. It's perfect.
Excellent. And how does it transfer here to Shelsley? It's a very different environment from the Nürburgring.
I think the course record here is 22 seconds, isn't it? So it's a bit of a contrast between 24 hours, but it's just lovely to be here and soak up the atmosphere, and there's so many weird and wonderful cars here that it's obviously it's not its natural habitat, but it's a lovely looking car and it sounds brilliant, so it was great to be able to have a bit of fun.
It's certainly a welcome addition. Have you done any hill climbing previously, or is this a first experience for you?
Like most people, I think I started, that's what I first did. I shared a Peugeot 205 with a mate, and we did some sprints and hill climbs, although we never came here, so this is the first time at Shelsley. But yeah, I love the sport, and it's great to come back and see that it's still going strong.
Brilliant. Well, it's certainly great to see a proper factory car here as well, and we'll certainly be watching this afternoon, and best of luck to you there.
Thank you very much.
Okay, back to you, Jerry.
Bruce McLaren built the original M6 GT in the late 60s. Based on the M6B Can-Am car, a road-going version was also built but never totally developed. This is Martin Bolsover's example, based on his own M6B circuit car and rebuilt by Ron Hand. British Hillclimb champion for 3 consecutive years in the early 80s, Bolsover certainly knows his way up Shelsley Walsh. He's entered in a special invitation class for sports racing cars and sets the pace with ease. Into the narrow S's, the big 5-litre Chevy power machine looks really at home in the hands of the former triple champion. He unleashes the V8's power up the finishing straight to cross the line in a fraction over 33 seconds.
Martin Bolsover, you're back with this fantastic McLaren. How did this car come about?
Well, when I finished hill climbing, back in the 80s, David actually and Ted Williams, friends of ours, had gone on to the circuit. So I followed, and they were running the McLarens, which was a Can-Am car, which I campaigned until the early 90s. Stopped circuit racing, then I thought I'd want to keep the car, so converted into the GT, which was a lot of work and dedication.
Yes, absolutely. Well, it certainly was worthwhile because it's a stunning looking car and really a car before its time, wasn't it? Because Bruce McLaren devised this in sort of the mid to late 60s, I guess.
It is really so advanced for its time. It's a crying shame that they never managed to homologate it, because it would have been the car to beat, definitely.
Absolutely, would have given the 917s and things like that a pretty hard time, I'm sure.
Well, maybe.
Good stuff. What sort of engine is in it? It's a huge V8 in the back.
Yes, it's a small block Chevy,
Okay.
which is bulletproof, hopefully. Good American muscle power, which you can't beat.
Absolutely. And David, this brilliant Mustang in the background, reminiscent of Steve McQueen. Tell us a little bit about this one.
Yes, almost the same colour. Yeah, I bought it in '91 when I was still racing in Supersports with a McLaren, the same as Martin, an M6B. And I'd done some classic rallies in Europe with a Swiss friend in a Shelby Mustang, and I thought, this is quite good fun. And it all came about, Sterling Moss had one at that time, which he'd raced in the States. And he said, it's quite a good car, old boy, you want to try one? And then this one came up in Switzerland, and I bought it, and we've done lots of classic rallies, France, Italy, Spain, been over to Mallorca with it, and most of the time, not all the time, most of the time we've driven it over, competed for 4 or 5 days, driven it back.
Brilliant.
So it's good fun.
Must be quite a ground eater on those sort of long runs that you do on that type of rally, I guess.
Yeah, it's fair. It's quite a nice road car. For 65, you've got to bear in mind its age.
Yeah, of course.
It was very advanced, and it's quite good, and it's comfortable, and not really a car for Shelsley, but it's great fun.
Absolutely.
Great enjoyment.
It looked like a serious handful off the line earlier today. You must be enjoying it.
Yes, traction off the line is the problem. Now, just to get it right, I had one reasonable start yesterday afternoon. This morning was rubbish. Yesterday morning was rubbish. So I hope this afternoon we can just balance it between wheel spin and grip.
Well, that's the beauty of hill climbing, isn't it? You've got to keep coming back and keep trying to improve what you did last time.
That's right. Yeah. Too true.
Good stuff. Well, great to see you back on the hills again, guys, and best of luck for this afternoon.
Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Cheers. Back to you, Jerry.
Prior to a very successful and ongoing career in historic racing, David Franklin was also a British Hill Climb champion. In fact, he remains the only driver to have won the British Hill Climb and the British Sprint Championships in the same year, 1978, driving a March BMW. More recently, he held Shelsley's classic racing car record in the ex-Peter Shetty European Hill Climb Championship winning Ferrari, the 212e Sports Racer. Franklin smokes the 4.7-litre Shelby Mustang off the line in true Steve McQueen bullet style and storms off into Kennel Bend. That long throw gear lever seems to be giving him a problem. Is the car properly in gear? But all seems well as he muscles the big car up into crossing and heads for the kink. Thundering into the S's, he manhandles the Mustang through the left and right and plants the right foot for the blast up the finishing straight. David admits that this is not the ideal car for hill climbing, but he never misses a chance to compete at the hill where 2 wins put him well on course for that British title 31 years ago. Also in the invitation class is this iconic 60 sports racer, a Lola T70. But things didn't go quite so well for Adam Jones at Bottom S. As always, marshals and rescue teams are on hand immediately. Happily, the driver steps out of the Lola unscathed, and damage to the recently rebuilt car could have been much worse. This is going to mean a few long hours in the workshop for Adam, but he'll be back. So will we after the break, when we concentrate on the British Championship action here at Shelsley Walsh, the oldest and the fastest hill climb in the country.
Hill climb engines are a little bit different to ordinary race car engines. They need to develop the power at different times. Nicholson McLaren are involved in Hill Climbing Championship. Again, we're going to support it as well as we have done in the last 3 or 4 years. We've had great success with Martin Groves out there again this year. I think we'll have some stiff competition, but hopefully we'll give him the right power behind his car. The engines are assembled in our engine build shop. Each one's individually built. They then get, upon completion, they go down to dyno cells. They'll be run without too much stress for about an hour. Then they'll be left to cool down. They'll have an inspection. The engines then go back to the engine build shop where they get pre-race checks before going out to customers.